Sergei is hunting when a huge lion appears right in front of him. Sensing danger, he quickly shields his younger brother behind him. He knows that even if he takes the lion, there's no way he can kill it with a single shot. So, at a critical moment, Sergei lowers his gun, trying to show the lion he poses no threat. Surprisingly, the lion's ferocious expression slowly begins to soften, but suddenly a gunshot shatters the peace. The shooter was Sergei's father, Nikolai. However, he miscalculated. The lion roars and lunges at Serge, sinking its teeth into his body. Nikolai shoots several times in a desperate attempt to stop him, but it's futile. The lion is carrying the idea that he's gay, and his father knows he has no chance of survival. At that moment, the lion's blood accidentally enters the boy's wound. As if a mysterious gate has opened, his genes react strangely. The lion seems to sense this too. It releases the boy and walks away. Miraculously, Sergei survives. However, Nikolai shows no joy at his son's return. As a legendary mafia figure, he cannot tolerate Sergei's moment of weakness. He wants his son to have the bloodthirsty instincts of a wolf and warns him about the brutal law of the jungle, encouraging him to one day take over the family business. He dares not defy his father, but when he sees the stuffed lion's body, he can no longer suppress his fury. Sergei locks himself in his room, vowing never to become a cold-blooded monster like his father. Not long before, his mother had taken her own life after years of domestic abuse. Driven by anger and disappointment in his family, he decides to leave forever. Before leaving, he picks up a mysterious letter that seems to have profound meaning for him, but as he carefully climbs onto the roof, the tiles fall off. He thinks he will fall hard to the ground, but instead, he lands lightly. He begins a long journey to his mother's hometown, a vast plain in the Russian Far East. As he admires the stunning beauty of nature, a terrifying roar suddenly echoes. Sergei looks back and sees a huge herd of buffalo advancing toward him. He has nowhere to hide in the open field. He can only cover his ears and prepare for the worst. Strangely, the buffalo don't trample him. Instead, they swerve and run past on either side. Then he realizes the lead buffalo is shielding him with its body. Only after the entire herd has passed does the king buffalo finally move away. This is when Sergei discovers that not only can he communicate with animals, but his physical abilities are beyond human. With just a little strength, he can throw a spear over 100 meters. His speed rivals that of a cheetah, allowing him to catch a running cerro in an instant. Even his hearing has evolved, allowing him to distinguish the number of drops of water in a stream in the canyon. Suddenly, a gunshot echoes through the valley. He quickly climbs a tree and spots two hunters nearly a kilometer away. Sergei rushes to stop them, but arrives too late. Seeing the dozens of dead buffalo on the ground, a wave of fury overcomes him. Before he can act, the hunters rush straight at him, threatening him to leave immediately. These words awaken the beast, and he picks up a knife from the ground. Sergei attacks like a wild animal, leaving the two hunters no chance to fight back. Looking at another group of hunters not far away and then at the fallen buffalo, Sergei vows to seek justice. 16 years later, Sergei becomes a legendary killer known as Craven. To get close to his next target, he disguises himself as a prisoner to enter the jail. But as soon as he enters the cell, he discovers that his cellmate is also a dangerous man. To avoid unnecessary conflict, Craven proposes a bet. He claims he will be released in 3 days, and if he doesn't, his cellmate can do whatever he wants with him. During the next day's sunbathing, two thugs approach, claiming that everything there belongs to their boss, Semyon, and saying they'll teach the newbie a lesson. But with a slight effort, Craven lifts them off the ground. Fortunately, the guards arrive in time to prevent a tragedy. Later, Craven is taken to the boss's room, but he's not the least bit worried, as he knows exactly who the man is. And that's the reason he came. As soon as their guard is lowered, Craven launches his attack. Before the two bodyguards can react, they're already on the ground. Semyon senses danger, but by then it's too late. The commotion attracts one of the prison guards, but Craven grabs him and throws him from the upper floor. He scales the wall like a lizard and uses brute force to open an escape route, triggering a deafening alarm in the prison. He's too fast, and any weapon is useless in his presence. In just a minute, he escapes the prison. However, a massive storm swallows him whole. In the blizzard, Craven quickly loses his sense of direction. At that moment, he suddenly senses a murderous presence. A tundra wolf appears before him. But when Craven uses his telepathy, the wolf becomes docile. Under the animal's guidance, he manages to reunite with his extraction team. He then cleans the tattoos from his body. When the military arrives, all they find is a recognizable corpse after being mauled by wolves. Having completed his mission, Craven returns to the plains only to find a group of hunters slaughtering buffalo. He waits patiently along the convoy's path, and when the time comes, Craven eliminates an entire truckload of them in a matter of seconds. The leader in the truck panics and, realizing the situation is out of control, speeds up and flees. But Craven memorizes the license plate number. The leader returns to report to his boss when suddenly a crossbow bolt is fired directly at his head. Craven crosses his name off the list and closes the door behind him. Guided by the scent, he appears before a woman and pulls out the letter he has kept for years. At that moment, Calypso realizes that Craven is the same little boy from long ago. At the time Craven was taken by the lion, Calypso and her family were also traveling nearby. The letter she held had been given by her grandmother, who predicted it would protect her from danger. Her grandmother also passed on a mysterious elixir that had been in the family for generations. Later, Calypso found a lion with a boy in its mouth. It didn't harm the child, but upon seeing Calypso, there was a trace of pleading in its eyes. Calypso gave Craven the mysterious elixir and before leaving, gave him the letter, hoping it would bring good luck. Although the doctors did everything they could, Craven's injuries were too severe, and he was pronounced dead. But just as the doctors were about to turn off the machines, he miraculously came back to life. To unravel the mystery in his heart, he searched for 16 years, until he finally sensed Calypso's presence. By this time, she had become a renowned lawyer in London, but her mentor had recently been killed while working on a case. Craven claims he has already avenged her, as the killer was Semyon, the man from the prison. Calypso, unsure whether to believe him, returns home and confirms that Semi did indeed die behind bars. She meets Craven again and, although she agrees that the man deserved it, she cannot accept his methods, especially knowing he did it only to return a favor. But neither of them knows that news of Semyon's death has already reached Rhino. Once a henchman of Craven's father, Rhino has now become ambitious. To expand his influence, he arranges a meeting with Semi-Wonder's former right-hand man, hoping to get him to work for him. To demonstrate his power, he disconnects a hose from his backpack, and his arm begins to change. Homer's men panic and open fire, knocking the Rhino to the ground. But he doesn't die. He dusts himself off and gets up. He then unbuttons his shirt, pulls the bullets from his hardened skin, and when he reconnects the hose, his flesh returns to normal. Faced with this monster, Homer follows him. Homer arranges a meeting with Nikolai, who expresses regret for the death of their leader and promises to offer them shelter. In truth, he also wants to bring them under his command, but senses something is wrong. Assassins sent by Hino suddenly launch an ambush. Nikolai prepared for such an attack, but his youngest son, Dmitri, is so frightened that he hides, which deeply disappoints Nikolai. He expected Dmitri to act like a man and show some courage, not cower in the face of danger. News of the failed assassination quickly reaches Rhino. Although furious, he is not surprised. After all, Nikolai is no ordinary man. At the same time, his men bring in a flash drive containing footage of Craven's prison escape. Discovering that the legendary hunter is Nikolai's son shocks Rhino, as a reconciliation between the two would be a bloodbath. Rhino then sends an assassin with the ability to hypnotize anyone who looks him in the eye. Meanwhile, Craven, wanting to surprise his brother on his birthday, scales a building with his bare hands, evading his father's vigilance, and finally reunites with Dmitri. It turns out that on the night Craven ran away from home, Dmitri begged to go with him, but Craven refused. Over the years, Dmitri has suffered from his father's scolding, and Craven can't help but feel guilty. Although deep down, the boy still craves Nikolai's approval, Kevin insists that his brother stay away from him. Just as he's about to explain further, his father suddenly appears. Not wanting to ruin his brother's birthday, Craven forces a smile. After the party, he spends the night alone in a park. The next morning, as he prepares to say goodbye, he finds the room ransacked and his brother missing. All that remains is a bloodstain on the sheet. He immediately runs to the balcony and sees his brother being pushed into a car. Without hesitation, Craven jumps. The height is nothing to him, but he's still a step too late, as the kidnappers have already disappeared down the road. Craven refuses to give up. He unleashes beastly speed and races after them. As the distance between them closes, his muscles bulge with power. He rams into the car like a raging bull and then leaps over it in one powerful movement. He tries to break the window to rescue his brother, but the car is moving too fast, and Craven is thrown off as he swerves. The kidnappers take Dmitri to a remote dock, but Craven isn't far behind. Just before the helicopter takes off, he ties a net rope to the frame, braces his feet, and uses brute strength to hold on. As the assassin draws his gun, Craven ties the rope, dodges the bullets, grabs a steel pipe, and leaps into the air. The shooter barely has time to react before being shot down. The helicopter finally breaks free, and Craven, in a last-ditch effort, clings on. Dragged hundreds of meters by the sea, he is eventually dropped by a buoy and can only watch as his brother is taken away. Craven turns to Calypso, hoping her resources can uncover the kidnappers' hideout. Although she agrees, it will take time, so Craven searches for his father only to discover that Nikolai already knows what happened. The kidnappers have sent a severed finger as evidence, demanding a ransom of 20 million. While the money means little to Nikolai, as New York's most feared mafia boss, surrendering would mean the end of his reputation. And even if the ransom were paid, he believes they wouldn't release the hostage. After deliberation, Nikolai decides to ignore the demand. Seeing his father choose to abandon Dmitri, Craven knows he must rescue his brother with his own hands. Fortunately, Calypso's side has a breakthrough. A friend has located the base, but the moment she leaves, that friend encounters the strange assassin. It turns out his friend had already been bought. What he didn't expect is that the other side despises betrayal. The kidnappers' base is hidden on a steep cliff, but this poses no challenge for Craven. He clings to the rock like a lizard and quickly infiltrates the fortress. A guard barely enters his field of vision before a flying blade pierces his throat. He moves deftly, but a slip-up triggers the alarm. Still, the enemies underestimate his strength, and the gunfire stops within seconds. Homer, leading the group, tries to fight back but is thrown away by Craven's charge. Just as Craven is about to interrogate him about his brother's whereabouts, he senses danger. A rocket comes flying. There's no time to dodge, and Craven and Homer are thrown off the cliff together. The explosion triggers a landslide. To preserve his trail, Craven uses his body to shield Homer from the falling debris. With the city wall blown up once more, Craven can't escape in time and is completely buried. Later, the killer is searching Craven's body, preparing to take a photo to send to his boss, but he never expected Craven to suddenly appear behind him. Before the two killers could react, Craven had already taken them down. Meanwhile, Dmitri is brought before Rhino, who chooses not to harm him. Instead, he shows compassion. He believes Dmitri, neglected by his father, shares a similar past. To gain his trust, Rhino reveals that he underwent extreme biological experiments that transformed him into what he is today. Although he has gained immense strength, he constantly suffers excruciating pain. Despite hating his monstrous form, he understands that only the strong are respected. He hopes Dmitri will agree to undergo the same transformation and use his power to take over Nikolai's criminal empire. But at that moment, his men report an intruder, and everyone draws their weapons. Rhino didn't expect Craven to arrive so quickly. However, when the elevator doors open, it's not Craven, it's the stranger. The moment he removes his glasses, everyone is pulled into a hallucination. He glides down the corridor like a ghost and appears before Dmitri. The stranger warns Rhino not to kill Dmitri before capturing Craven, as he has discovered that he has no weaknesses except for his brother. He then takes a plant from his pocket, a rare Siberian species, the same one Craven uses to create his poison arrows. By finding where it grows, they can track Craven. Meanwhile, fearing for Calypso's safety, Craven takes her to his Siberian hideout. The site is filled with research equipment and rare herbs. It turns out that Craven has been studying plants in hopes of recreating the ancient medicine that once saved him. But Calypso doesn't know the recipe, as it was lost with her grandmother. At the same time, the stranger and Rhino arrive with a new poison. Once injected, it awakens a person's deepest fears, causes organ failure, and ultimately kills them in a nightmare. But soon they encounter something dangerous lurking in the forest. A cheetah emerges from the trees only to disappear just as quickly. In the chaos, Dmitri escapes into the woods. Hino sends a team to search for him, unaware that they are falling into Craven's trap, who wants a hunt. In the jungle, Craven moves quickly. Before the assassins have a chance to shoot, they are already dead on the ground. The remaining men panic, but it is too late to run. Rhino realizes his men are doomed and orders a helicopter to bomb the area, but Craven is too quick and easily dodges the explosives. However, upon returning, he is struck by a poisoned arrow. His vision blurs, and his body begins to sway. Suddenly, spiders surround him, and Craven falls into a nightmare. The stranger's voice echoes in his mind, but he can't distinguish illusion from reality. He tries to fight back, but his limbs are slow. When he finally attacks, he only hits wooden posts. Just as the stranger advances for the final blow, an arrow pierces his forehead. Calypso arrives just in time. Seeing Craven on the brink of death, she uses the mysterious elixir again, bringing him back to his senses. Meanwhile, Reno receives news from his men and assumes Craven is dead. He prepares to return to base with Dmitri, but then he sees a massive stampede of buffalo. Rhino knows no one could survive such an attack. He disconnects the hose from his back, and his body begins to stiffen within seconds. Cars are fragile compared to the buffalo, and Craven quickly catches up. Rhino climbs on top of a car, and Craven attacks first, launching him several meters with a flying kick. As the car spins out of control, Rhino doesn't even try to dodge, and the force throws Craven away. He lifts the car again, and Craven closes the distance using his agility, dodging the attacks and coming face to face with his enemy. But no matter how hard he hits, it doesn't hurt Rhino. Instead, Craven is thrown dozens of meters. He is stunned by the blow, and before he can recover, Ranu launches another attack, giving him no chance to retaliate. With a brutal lunge, Rhino launches Craven and the truck into the air. Craven is pinned beneath him as Rhino smiles victoriously. But Craven gets back up, only to be captured once more. Just as he's about to lose consciousness, he realizes Reno's weakness. He summons all his strength and drives a metal rod into the weak spot, causing it to roar in pain and release. This only infuriates it. Kaven quickly pulls out a steel cable and, with his quick reflexes, wraps it tightly around Rhino. He hurls the other end into the sky, tying it to a stampeding buffalo. After being trampled by the buffalo herd, Rhino barely manages to stay alive. But things are far from over. Craven tracks down his father only to discover that he was the one who sent Rhino the footage of the escape. Nikolai doesn't deny it, having known all along that the mysterious hunter was his own son. So he secretly contacted Rhino using Craven's bond with his brother as bait, hoping to eliminate this threat at the hands of someone else. Although Craven is disappointed, he can't bring himself to kill his own father. But as he walks away, a bear's roar echoes from the jungle. Nikolai reaches for his rifle in panic only to discover there are no bullets inside. The moment Craven walks away, the bear launches its attack. A year later, Craven attends his brother's birthday party only to discover that the boy has completely taken over his father's business. He doesn't want his brother to become close to Nikolai. So, after the party, he tries to talk to him, but what he sees shakes him deeply. It turns out that Dmitri secretly joined the doctor's experiment long ago and orchestrated everything in secret. Even Craven himself was nothing more than a pawn on Dmitri's chessboard, and he's about to unleash a catastrophe unlike anything the world has ever seen.